sit down.
Well, good morning and welcome to Mornings with Andy, 30-year veteran of the comic book industry here. Hello. Thought I'd pop in this morning, share a couple of little news items I saw that I thought were newsworthy to talk about. And I'm not going to be talking about them by myself. I've got my buddy, my partner in crime, the guy whose ass I'm going to kick this week in fantasy football. Dennis is here. Well, hello, Dennis.
Oh, always bringing up the football, Andy. You know, it's like you have this complex that you know that you're already behind and you're not slated to win. So you're just going to puff up like a peacock, and then I'm going to go and put the smack down on you.
I pop up the feathers like a peacock and strut my little ass around. See, Dennis, you don't understand. I'm like Muhammad Ali with the old rope-a-dope. I'm letting you tire yourself out by getting your little 13 points last night to my nothing because I had no players. I mean, let's be honest. You can't really brag about having 13 points up on me when I had nobody play.
No, but I can brag that I was 10-3-1 compared to what was your record? Did you make 500?
I mean, it is... How do they put it when it's the playoffs? Oh, it's the start of a new season.
It is at that. So I only have bragging rights for being number one for the regular season. Once I win the Super Bowl, then I'll have a second bragging right.
Yeah, we'll see. I see your wife isn't faring any better this week.
She made the play. Hey, 100% of the Turners in this Turner family made the playoffs. Can 100% of the Smiths say they made the playoffs?
They cannot, but the percentage of Smiths in the playoffs is the same percent. No, it's not. It's two Smiths in the playoffs and two Turners in the playoffs. So good enough. Anyhow, Aperion, Threed, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining. I love new faces. AJ Tom is here. I was about to relax, but I guess I don't have to because you're not saying to relax anymore. Anyhow, we're going to get on with the show because, believe it or not, it's a twofer. At 8:10 this morning, Dennis and I will be doing a special edition of the Dennis and Andy Show on that channel. So look at that.
It's like the old movie. Buy one ticket, see two movies.
That's right. Or just, I guess that's, well, you know, Dennis, I was an honest sort. I never really did those shenanigans as a child. So now we see how it was where you grew up in Fujishika, whatever, Wisconsin.
There were two movies for the price of one.
I thought you were
one drink and you got to see two movies for one low price.
Oh, I thought you were walking out of a movie and then walking into another one.
No, but ask Susie about that. That was something that their ilk did.
Their ilk. All right, I will.
But I did post, for those of you that don't subscribe to the Dennis and Andy channel, I put it up above so you guys can join us when you're done. We just need a few minutes to recuperate.
That's right. This show is so exhausting. It's like sex. I need a good 10 minutes before I can go again. What?
There's a reason why Helen will never watch your show.
It would only be worse if you were actually here, like on Wednesdays, and I said that, but you're not, so it's fine.
Okay.
Or are you? Maybe you're just in a different room and that's a green screen.
It could be. This whole thing could be a green screen. Wait. Oh, yeah. No, not a green screen.
All right. So anyhow, the story says Hawkeye continues Locust's biggest LGBTQ mistake. Well, let's see what they're talking about. And on the Dennis and Andy show, we will be reviewing Hawkeye, latest episode. So it says, as fun as the Loki series was, and it was fun, there's one major point of contention for fans regarding its LGBTQ arc. The series revealed Tom Hiddleston's God of Mischief was bisexual, but it was only mentioned in passing. After the same thing happened in Avengers Endgame, it felt like Disney was ticking off a box in a forced, inorganic manner. Sadly, Loki's biggest mistake seems to be repeated in Hawkeye. All right, so let's dissect that first paragraph. Loki was a fun series. I agree. But it wasn't, the series wasn't about Loki dating and who he dates and his sexuality and all that. You know, I mean, if you watch normal TV shows or if you watch any regular TV show, you could kind of say the same thing when it's like, you know, star of the show is like, oh, and later today I've got to meet up with my blah, 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 you know, if it's a guy, my wife, or if it's a girl, my husband. And you can almost say, wow, they just mentioned that in passing. Because guess what? That's not the point of the damn show. So what they're bitching about in Hawkeye is there was a scene in Hawkeye, so spoilers if you haven't seen it, where Hawkeye has to get his trick arrows back, and Kate Bishop.
They were locked up in a police station.
Right. So Kate Bishop goes to Central Park to meet with firefighters and cops who are LARPers who role play there. And as this article says, it culminates with Kate striking a deal with Wendy to get the weapons out of her precinct. And when Wendy meets Clint later at Kate's aunt's apartment, we discover Wendy is part of the LGBTQ community because basically in the scene, Hawkeye says, hey, and I also need to I need that bag that Wendy brought the arrows and stuff in. I need that bag to carry around. So Wendy says, whoa, that bag basically has sentimental value to me. My wife gave it to me. So make sure I get it back and, you know, it's in good shape. No, I mean, you know, that I had no, wait, AJ says, wait, back up. LARPers. Yeah,
Indeed.
They went to it was actually pretty cool because there was a guy dressed up at this LARPers event that was in the original comic book version of the Hawkeye costume. So it was actually kind of neat from that standpoint. But
yeah, New York City LARPers, they had a big show out in one of the parks. And they fought using LARPer weapons. It was kind of fun.
Yeah. So back to this scene. So basically, like it said, she just drops saying, okay, you can have the bag, but it's sentimental. My wife gave it to me, whatever. And okay, that's cool. That gives you a little backstory about that character in the show. But apparently the bone of contention is that, well, come on. They could have had the wife show up as well and explored it more. And it's kind of like, why? The show's about Hawkeye and Kate Bishop in this quote unquote mission they're on. It's not about this secondary character that works at a police station. I mean, honestly, you know, I thought it was nice in itself that they just dropped that about her. You know, she's in a gay relationship. She has a wife. Okay. How much more time to what? These shows, what's up, Val? These shows are what, 35, 40 minutes long tops?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Why would you devote a large amount of time to something that has nothing to do with the story plot or even a side story? It was literally there was no point in saying it, but Disney has to check all their boxes because a good story is not important. Checking
Right, and
off
that's the thing
boxes
too.
is.
That's a good point too. Checking the boxes. What's up, TC? You're right. It never even had to be mentioned. She could have easily just as said, "Oh, I got to make sure I get this back. My dad gave it's from my dad, or it's from my mom, or my aunt gave it to me, or whatever." The whole point is, if if it doesn't move the story forward, then that's what editing's for, and that's why stuff usually ends up on the cutting room floor. It doesn't matter. This is a 6-episode series, and as Dennis and I will discuss later, there's one episode left, and it seems like they've got a lot to pack in. So who cares about this secondary character? She's not integral to the story. So I don't, they're like, the problem with this is that, yes, it normalizes LGBTQ couples, but it also treats them like an afterthought. What are you talking about? It doesn't treat them like an afterthought. It's not important to the story. Now, if they really wanted to make it, I guess, a thing, they could have said Kate Bishop was in a female relationship. And then throughout every episode, Kate Bishop could have been like, but my girlfriend this, or blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
It's becoming reminiscent of Supergirl, end of season 1 into season 2, where it was no longer about Supergirl. It became about her sister, who, oh my goodness, she's a lesbian, so we need to focus in on her relationship. And it was ad nauseum, episode after episode, and I'm like, just give me supervillains, give me something to fight, give me something that we want to see. It's okay if you want to spend a little time and develop it as a side story, but why? You don't have that much time to put together for good story now. It makes no sense.
Yes, Marcus. New York City cops and firemen are LARPers. They're not the New York City cops and firemen that you see doing their firemen versus cops football games and the tough stuff. They go play in the woods or in the park.
But they use swords, although
That's
some
true.
of them may be foam.
That's true. And then it says, this is what made Eternals resonate a lot. As that kiss Fastos shared reinforced the love he had for a world that gave him happiness despite him being different. This was the catalyst for him turning on Icarus and trying to save the Earth. Yeah, you literally, you can't even compare the two. In Eternals, Fastos was one of the major freaking characters in the movie. He's one of the Eternals. This cop is literally just a way to get the arrows from the police station back to Clint. That's all it is.
She is literally an extra in a show. It's like The Walking Dead. She would be the equivalent of a zombie.
Yeah. Or honestly, she'd just be the let's see. They want to masturbate to their fetishes and everything. Shanath, what is up? Hello, hail to you. I mean, I would even say I would give a zombie less credit. I would think a better comparison, in all honesty, is an episode of The Walking Dead where the main cast meets up with a couple survivors, and then that's it. You don't see the survivors again after that.
Right? We don't need their backstory. The other thing that I'm going to disagree with the article on, for those of you who've seen the Eternals or not, that's what made the Eternals resonate so well. I watched the Eternals, and there was nothing that made any resonations whatsoever. Nothing resonated in the Eternals. It was a flat line of a movie. So if that is your comparison, you basically, in my opinion, shot yourself in the foot on that one.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the thing is, I understand that people in that community obviously want to be represented and stuff. I get it. I don't know. I can't step into their shoes and be like, oh, stop your whining and complaining, because look, everything we ever watch is just typical, oh, pandemonium is here. Hello. Val says,
Well,
Dennis, you need a better mic. He's
oh,
using his
am I
mic
not
from his
loud enough?
webcam. I can hear him. It's all good. I get you want to be represented and stuff, but at the same time, if your sole thing is to go into watching a TV show just with the purpose of going, they better mention me, then all I know is there's a lot of little people out there that are watching TV shows every day that are getting pissed off because they're going, whoa, another TV show without a little person. What the hell?
But that was actually going to be my point. It's always focusing on this particular community, but everybody else that considers them a different representation, are we then going to have to produce every show that is literally going to have representation for every race and creed and gender and whatever? That's what they're saying, is everybody always has to be representative. Well,
Right.
you know what? Then we're just watching the same stuff over and over again. It makes no sense. And these type of articles, all they do is pander to it. And all we want are good superhero stories. Period.
Right. Exactly. If everybody will be represented, then LGBT people won't be there because there are too many identity groups out there. Yeah, I mean, you can't represent everybody. You just do the best you can. And, it's getting to a point where it's like, the LGBTQ community is what, 1% or whatever of the population. And you're getting to a point now where every TV show is just like, wow, it's like 50, it's not 50%, but you know what I mean? It really seems like it's this huge percentage. And once again, I get it, representation, but like you said, Dennis, where's the little people? Where's the amputees? Now, granted, Echo actually does have, I think, one fake leg? Doesn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. So
Yeah, she really is. She really is deaf in real life, and she really is missing one leg. Yes. So everything that you see is actually her.
She's
That's
actually
pretty cool.
missing one leg in real life, that actress?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
What else
That
has
was
she
not
been in?
done
Do you know?
for the show. She is like that in real life, which is really cool.
What else has she acted in? Do you know?
No.
Yeah, I didn't recognize her. I think she's awesome though, as for the part.
She looks angry all the time.
I know, but that's what's kind of attractive about her, because I think she's attractive, and there's just something about that face she makes, where it's like, oh, she looks mean. I like it. 98% of these groups was invented. Yeah. LGBTQ are overrepresented. What about Indian people? Where are the Chinese? There are 2 billion of them. Yeah. And there's a huge population in this country. So that's the first thing we want to talk about. The second thing, not a huge deal, but I think they're playing with numbers here. DC Comics touts unprecedented orders for bisexual Superman, where actually it looks like the worst Superman sales in over a decade. AJ Tom is really slamming it down today. In all fairness, Andy thinks Christine is attractive. Yeah, Christine's hot, dude. I don't know what you're not seeing. I got to say, every time I show those Christine videos, I get a copyright strike because of the songs in them. So I got to adjust those videos for her, because luckily it's actually not a strike, because they're not doing anything on my channel. They're just saying, hey, guess what? That's copyright. So the people that own that will get a part or something. Christine versus
Just
Lizzo.
put a new song in. Just get a new song in, like Me and My Shadow.
I know.
Strolling down the avenue.
Yeah. Christine versus Lizzo. Christine all the way. Other than Hawkeye and Echo, she doesn't really have a career. Okay. So anyhow, cool. Back to this. DC Comics claims their upcoming Superman Son of Kal-El #5 issue that features Superman kissing a man is receiving unprecedented orders. In a blog post on their website, DC Comics claims following the news of the upcoming reveal of John Kent coming out as bi in issue 5 of Superman, Son of Kal-El, global fan excitement has led to more orders for the upcoming issue than the series debut. Yeah, well, the series debut isn't saying much. While DC Comics doesn't provide any numbers, well, that's interesting. Dennis, I don't know if you know this, but my book is selling unprecedented numbers. Oh, what are those numbers? Well, I'm not going to tell you that.
Yep.
Comic book sales tracking website Comicron estimates DC Comics sales of Superman Son of Kal #1 clocked in at 68,800 back in July. That was good for the 17th best-selling comic of the month. However, given DC Comics stopped distributing their books with Diamond distributors in favor of Lunar distribution, the numbers from Comicron for DC comic books are rough estimates. Comicron explains DC projections are from an initial order data set and thus handicapped amid Diamond entries. Needless to say, beating sales for the first issue should not be that hard for a Superman book. In fact, selling less than 70,000 copies for a new Superman book is absolutely abysmal. In 2018, Superman #1 by Brian Michael Bendis, Ivan Rice sold 133,000 copies, so that's almost 70,000 more. In 2016, DC relaunched their entire line with Rebirth. Superman #1 sold 118,000 copies, and then Superman #1 sold 105. When DC rebooted their entire universe in 2011, Superman #1 sold 118,000. So how they're saying these are unprecedented, maybe what they forgot to add after that unprecedented is low. Unprecedented.
Yeah, I was just going to say that they are unprecedented numbers, all right. They're just unprecedentedly bad. Those
they're the
numbers
wrong
are not
way.
good. And typically, whatever your #1 is, because a lot of your collectors will go out there and just pick up #1s. You typically will see a 30 to 50% drop off on issue #2. And then you usually see another 20, 30% drop off on 3. And then by 5, you're probably at 50, 60, 70% less than #1, depending on how good the book is. So I'll be curious to see how those numbers drop if they follow suit, because if that's the case, that winds up being a wretched run then.
Well, and this even says beating 68,800 is not unprecedented. It's pathetic. It's almost a 50% decline from Bendis's relaunch. It's an over 41% decline from the 2016 and 41% from New 52. Maybe DC Comics was referring to how poorly the book sales were doing when they claimed it had unprecedented orders, because the estimates from Comicron for Superman Son of Kal #1 are clearly unprecedentedly bad for a new Superman book. Now, I'll say this about the book. I did buy #1 because I love this cover. I love the cover homage, and I like John Tim's artwork. I think it's cartoony. I think it's a nice blend of cartooniness with some realistic when it comes to the background art. So I do like the art, but I didn't buy it after 1 because the story did nothing for me. If you look a little further, estimates for #2 have sold 40,000, so down almost 30,000 copies. So that means sales for #3
70 to 40. Yeah, that fits the pattern then.
Right. And then the third issue could possibly be, because they don't know, 30,000. So where they're saying this #5 is blowing up, I'm not saying it's not because of how they hyped it, but I'm willing to bet money it didn't even get back up to what #1 sold. They went back into doing reprints for all the issues. And the reprints, I'm trying to think. I think they showed one. Yeah, they were doing reprints with the DC Pride month thing up in the corner. I think that's what it said. So if they're adding in reprints, I don't think you should add in reprints, because the store is generally going to buy the second. It is a reprint, but second printing is a better way to say it. Stores will most likely buy those unless they have a ton. I know the shop I go to did sell out of issue 1, but it didn't sell out of issue 2. And I know when issue 5 came out, it said limit one per customer, but they weren't flying off the rack. So I don't think they needed that sign. And I will say this, when it comes to the Genuine Comics remark, I remember when comics were about cool adventures, not about fetishizing homosexuality. I would even say, I remember when superhero comics were about cool adventures and just not even dealing with big splash pages of the main characters kissing, whether it was straight or gay or bi or whatever. I'm not saying they didn't deal with relationships. When I started buying Captain America back in the 80s, Steve Rogers was dating this woman named Bernie. And yeah, there was a panel after a date where they would kiss goodbye, but it was like one small panel and they moved on. That wasn't what the story was about. If you want to do romance comics, by all means. I mean, back in the 70s, you had My Love story for Marvel Comics, Our Love Story. DC had romance books in the 60s, but that's what those were for. They were targeting an audience that was like, hey, if you like romance novels, check out these romance comics, and this is just pure pandering, and it's just crazy. I tapped out on mainstream comics long ago. Thank God for Comicsgate. I want a penumbra romance comics. Don't we all? I did romance comics once. It was one issue of that famous. Here's my contribution to romance comics. Penthouse Max. Yes, you could say that is definitely fire right there. That puts the romance into romance comics, right, Dennis?
Yep, there you go, Andy. You know what I was going to say? I know what we need. If you want to delve into this, Penumbra and Christine, there's your comic book.
No.
Are you sure? I don't know. I think some of the guys here are thinking that's a better one than what DC's putting out.
Oh my! But, wow.
Look, it's okay to deal with hot button topics and stuff. And let's just take a look at. You guys know I can bring it back to X-Men every time. Yeah. X-Men was built upon the premise of racism. Starting back in the 60s, they were different. They were, kind of shunned upon. And they always touched hot button topics. But they always did it in a way that was germane to the story, had really good points, and the superhero stories were phenomenal. None of that can be said with today's stuff. Again, it is, here's our list of check boxes. We're going to check them off, and we don't care if any of the story makes sense or if it's even remotely good writing or dialogue. None of that matters as long as you check off the boxes. Today, that is the problem. We saw Marvel's numbers declining severely by doing this. So what happens? DC decides, we're going to double down and one up on Marvel, and we're going to go this route. Well, good luck. I mean, that's just it. AT&T bought you. You guys are just going down the toilet.
There's a funny meme going around of, and it's horribly drawn, but that's not the purpose of it. Where it's on the left-hand side. So I'll do it this way. On the left-hand side is one guy. Next to him is another guy that's like the owner of the comic companies. And then next to that guy over here is a crowd of people. And you got this one guy going, put in this stuff. I won't read your comics unless you do X, Y, and Z and put this agenda stuff into your books. And the other group's going, but we love the books the way they are. But the one guy's going, put this stuff in. So the dude in the middle is like, okay, I'll put it all in. And then the whole group of people is like, this isn't what we want. We're not buying the books anymore. And then the guy turns to the one guy and goes, yeah, but I put all your stuff in. You'll buy them. And the guy's like, no, I don't care. And it's like.
That actually was going to be another point, is they no longer market to the people that actually. My shirt. It's my classic
D&D shirt.
What's that? Yeah, my D&D shirt.
It's a Dennis Dungeons and Dragons. It's a DDD shirt.
It is. And I will have a wardrobe change when I go to the next show. When we do the Dennis and Andy show right after this.
Nice. Uh-huh. So I mean, I just want to touch on that stuff this morning briefly. Of course, what we need to touch on is the coolest superhero book around, and that is my book, First Man, Volume 2, 6 backers away from 600. Let's get it there. Let's push this baby to 50 grand as well. Think high, higher and higher, straight up we'll climb. Do, 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 do. Van Halen for your morning pleasure. You want to see a cool shirt. That is a cool shirt Dennis has on, but a cooler shirt is First Man 2. Get your First Man t-shirt, 10 colors on the front, beautiful First Man, vibrant, coming at you, penumbra on the back. So you can show your First Man love coming and going. Astounding Comics limited edition signature t-shirt. Also, back the book. You can get also the art of Andy Smith. Black book from Ominous Press that spotlights a lot of my art through my 30-year career. So that's the stuff you want to get right there. So go back that. Let's get this book up there higher and higher. There is the link. Thank you so much. They make comics for themselves these days. That's true. They do. They like to pat themselves on the back. Them some nice shirts. That's true. And afternoon to you as well. I'm glad it's not the afternoon here because I still got lots of work to do before the afternoon. So that is what we want to talk about. Guys, we will be back at 8:10 on the DNA Show, Dennis and Andy Show channel on YouTube. Join us there as we talk about Dexter and the latest episode of Hawkeye. Hawkeye is a great series. Penumbra has nice learning curves. Yes, she does. Oh, yeah. She'll teach you a thing or two. Guys, thank you for joining. I'll be back. We'll see you in 10 minutes. Dennis has to do a wardrobe change. Until next time.
The link up, and for those of you who don't subscribe to our other show, there's the link. Just join us on there. We will. We're going to be talking about Hawkeye, Dexter, and there's a surprise for Andy. Does anybody, any Star Blazers fan? I'm going to open that up and let you guys see it. It's a mini model of the battleship Yamato.
Nice. We'll see you guys in a few minutes. Bye, everybody.
I'm bringing sexy back. Yeah. Get your sexy on. I'm bringing sexy